first off, I want to say thank you all for coming to this interesting stream today. We have the infamous Hellbringer, who has given so much information to not only myself, but also to the community. And we're just going to get right into this interview of understanding Hellbringer. So why don't you introduce yourself, Hellbringer?
So, first of all, I'm Hellbringer, and I just like to play games in general. I've never really, you know, done much in life. I just play and study. That's basically
Like every,
all I did.
yeah.
uh, I never like when it comes to games. I always find the market. Uh, I always find it very, very interesting. You know, Warframe.
Yes, I've heard
Uh,
Warframe, yeah.
I have like 1,000 hours in that game, and about 500 of it was just trading.
What?
Trading.
Just
Yeah.
trading? What?
It's the dumbest thing ever. But I got so obsessed with in-game markets,
Okay.
and I think that's one of the draws of Lost Relics is the markets itself, is the ability to actually earn physical money if you ever get bored with the game, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's play and earn. You wouldn't really say play to earn anymore, simply because it just takes way too long.
How long have you been playing Lost Relics?
About
Wow.
a year and 3 months, give or take.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good to hear. And how old are you?
I'm currently 22, about to turn 23 in a few months.
What are you studying for a career, more or less, right now?
Uh, right now it's called BS Management, Bachelor of Science
Okay.
in Management.
Okay.
It's more of, they call it BS Management, but it's more of entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Actually, I went with that simply because how I mentioned a while ago, right? I like trading in games, so I figured
Yes.
why not go to a business track? It seems like something that would suit me. But the more I learn about it, the more boring it gets, and the more it takes away from the fun of business. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I get it. This is what you're gonna teach me. This is what you're gonna learn. But like, it feels like it's not the course for me.
Okay, that's understandable because I feel like it's that feeling where like you first try to get into something and then you realize it's not what you actually wanted to do after a while, so then you have to like backtrack your steps basically.
Yeah.
How did you get into Lost Relics? 'Cause I know you went in Warframe, but how did you transition from how did you get into LR? Was it a friend or?
Actually, there was like a lot of like hype in the blockchain space. Play to earn was like, oh, you can earn money by playing games. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, why not, right? I mean, I spent a lot of my time playing games,
Mm-hmm.
so might as well try to earn from it, right? So I tried to invest in something called PVU, Plants versus Zombies. No, Plants versus Undead.
Okay.
Uh, by the way, I lost money there. Just a heads up. I'm not very good when it comes to crypto or investing. Uh, but I was like, okay, this was it's up. Yeah, there wasn't much of a game. It's just basically Farmville simulator
Mm-hmm.
that can maybe earn you some money, give or take. Depending how early you came in. Uh, so I figured, why not look for another game? Give it another chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like LR popped up. Was like, okay, this seemed interesting. A lot of the videos were so old, so oh, you can earn this much in like a couple of hours. Because if you notice the old videos, a lot of the things there drop. Like they they drop a lot of the basic resources, like the green ones, the ones that you use for bounties.
Mm-hmm.
There was so many. You could like get like three, four, sometimes five in a dungeon.
What was the biggest challenge for you when you first started Lost Relics?
Biggest challenge for me, well, aside from the traps,
Of
because
course, yeah, yeah,
those,
yeah.
yeah, those things always just instantly kill you when you're a beginner. You'll always die from them. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the drops. Like right as I mentioned, it was like 2 3 months before I got my very first drop. It was like basically I was running greens because there were no higher rarity weapons
hmm
like for virtuals. It
hmm
was either the criminal's katana and what was that other bow? Guard's bow, I think.
Right, or I think it's longbow as well. I think.
No, longbow was a blockchain.
Oh, right. So you're rocking Criminal's Katana, but you had a regular
Oh
thing.
no, sorry. Uh, guard's katana and guard's bow.
Yes.
Yes, that one. Yeah. So for 2 months, I was running those 500 gold weapons, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't level up to any other dungeon aside from the green dungeons. And
Wow.
oh my god, that took forever. Like, sure, yeah, it was great for the skills, but
hmm
like, I was during the time where like your tool, like your XP gain depended on your tool.
I remember
So
that. Yeah.
so it was like, okay, there's not much XP I can gain, so leveling up skills was. I couldn't do any of the higher tier dungeons that seemed fun.
hmm
So I, okay, great. Uh, I guess I'm stuck here for until I get a drop. And you
Yeah.
know what the worst part is
What?
about after I got a drop?
What?
I couldn't even sell it. That means to say I couldn't even buy a criminal's katana or a longbow or anything like that. I was like, my god, am I just stuck here forever?
Oh man, I remember. I know that feeling. It's just like you have to grind back then, like so much, and you didn't have armor. I remember back in the old arcane pits, you were stuck on that specific stage because you weren't able to move up from there, and it was so much harder back then. Even though you would think it's easier, but it was actually harder back then. I remember.
Yeah. And if you set your ass on fire, kiss your items goodbye.
Yeah, I definitely remember the fire. Oh my gosh, I hated the fire traps. Oh my gosh, I hated the fire trap. I swear, I kept asking, how is it that this fire keeps randomly burning me? And then I forgot who told me that in the chat. I think Mike told me in the chat. He was like, dude, look at the floor. There are obvious switches that you're pressing, and I'm like, oh. Why didn't no one tell me that? Why didn't the game tell me that, you know? But I think that's why the developers had to, remove it, which is fine. I'm pretty sure they'll come back eventually. I wouldn't be surprised if they come back. Anyway.
Yeah,
Hmm?
usually a lot of the features come back, like the mushrooms. It was removed for like a while, and I was like, now they're back, and now they're still just as annoying as they were before, if not more so.
Wow. How many hours a day do you play Lost Relics?
It really depends on my workload.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours. Sometimes I just finish the Wheel of Wonder missions, and
Mm-hmm.
then I call it a day. It was like about 2 dungeons, 3 dungeons worth. And okay, back to studying.
Yeah.
Because
Go ahead.
uh the reason why I spent so much time studying is because I have something called dyslexia. Dyslexia is a reading disability. So
Okay.
it makes reading words and uh basically all your grammar, your writing, anything that involves letters becomes everything flies, everything interchanges. Sometimes it just flat out disappear, it goes like, hey, peace out, I'm gone. And then they come back after like 2 3 minutes, sometimes five. I was like, well, I guess I just have to wait for it to come back.
Wow. That sounds very challenging for you, man. But I mean, that's crazy that you're going through that. And and when did you like and when did you discover you had this problem? Like very young?
Grade two, I think. 2 or 3.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was actually my mom that found out that I was dyslexic because of the Percy Jackson books
Mm-hmm.
where in the movie it's like, oh, his dyslexia helped him solve the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like that. Very huge misconception, by the way. It does not help you solve puzzles, it just makes it harder. So people were like, "Hey, try to solve this word puzzle." I was like, "Why?
Oh
I
my
already have problems."
Oh my god. They thought it was a superpower. Oh my god, that's horrible. Oh my gosh. I mean, look, I'm not trying to laugh at you. I'm just laughing like at these people trying to do something so stupid. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, it's actually really funny. It's one of the things that helped me when I was growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of the things that basically cursed me when I was growing up. Because
Mm.
word puzzles.
No, really. Yeah, I know. They're just terrible. How did you make the glass cannon build, actually? So this is a question I'm pretty sure everyone wants to know. How did you come up with this glass cannon build, actually?
Uh, I've been using this way before the New World update.
Mm-hmm.
That was way before the item protection. So it was a lot riskier, right? Before when you die,
Mm-hmm.
you lose your,
Yeah.
you just flat out just gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and how I built it was the story of Mang,
What, man?
uh Mang, Mang, the player Mang.
No, I've never heard of him.
So in a lot of Spiz's streams, he was mentioning how Mang basically was running dungeons with like two melee weapons,
Okay.
right? I was like, okay, seems interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, he was running Mouth Okep with like melee weapons. I was like, damn, okay, that's really impressive because it was a bows meta, right? It
Right.
was you no cost, no arrows, free shots basically,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can kill them from a safe distance, well, relatively safe distance.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, so if you can do it, why not take it up a notch and then make it so that every hit hits as hard as possible. And like, what's the fun of uh having, what do you call this? What's the fun of having something like that without a bit of risk, right?
Of
I was
course,
like,
yeah.
let's take it up a notch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's increase the difficulty also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, might be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go with that. And mind you, Holy Remedy did not have an ability yet. So there was no passive that can save your ass.
Oh shoot! Wow. So you went the extra mile with the risk of losing everything and no heal of passive. That's crazy.
There's actually, you can see one of my videos. It was meant to be a fun build. Uh it was way back before the update. I posted it on I think it was like Okept Caverns
Mm-hmm.
glass cannon build. It was really long ago. It's in my YouTube. And then Kanade was like, "Oh, it's not efficient. It's not fun. It's not a good build." I was like, "Yeah, it's not meant to be good. It's for fun. It's not everything has to be efficient
Mm-hmm.
because highest efficiency basically you jacked up your bow all the way to the max to one shot everything, basically one shot to two shot everything with a right click."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "It's not meant to be fun. Well, it's meant to be fun. It's not meant to be efficient."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the exciting part. It's the thrill of almost dying. Because at some point in LR, it becomes a repetitive task. It becomes so mundane. It's like, go into a dungeon, shoot everything with a bow. Every once in a while, hit something with a melee when they get too close. Okay. But like, that's it. You come out of the dungeon, you're fully healed. Yes, it was during the update where like everything fully heals you when you come back out.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was like, okay, hop back in, do the same thing. I was like, nah, I don't want to, burn out in the game. The game is nice, the game is fun. But at some point, you just burn out from repeating everything. It's so, how you call this, monotone in a
Yes.
sense.
Yes. Like it becomes you could say after a while before New World update, the game became very it became like a chore more or less than actual
Mm-hmm.
fun. And I strongly agree with you that like you know we were like for so many times we were like, oh man, it's so easy. You could run Zenny, you could run Mount Cap, you could run any map easily back then, and you didn't have to worry about what was it, arrows at the time. But I'll never forget the time I saw the interview where Cliff said, "Oh, we're gonna introduce arrows." Once I heard arrows, I said, "Oh no."
Oh yeah. Actually, I rush sold some of my bows. I was like, okay, I'm keeping some of my melees. I'm rush selling my bows because I was like, I know that is gonna drop like a rock. Actually,
No.
uh, sorry to cut you off
Yeah,
there, but
sure.
another inspiration was Nightshade. You know Nightshade, right?
Yes, I spoke to him. I actually played with him before. Yes.
If you look at his YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it was doing challenge runs, like just greens. Because right, as I mentioned, there were no rare weapons, rare or above weapons. It was just the guard's katana and the guard's bow. So
Mm-hmm.
he did Mount Okep with the guard's bow. So I figured, oh, I would want to do challenge runs like this in the future. I, you know, improve my skills, get better items. I was like, was the time when like I was starting to rack up some of my decent items, and house wasn't used a lot. I was like, okay, interesting item. Why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
pairs well with the masks. Also, it was like low health build. Just you die, you just delete all of your stuff.
So I get it now. I get it. So yeah, you're right. So I do remember watching Nightshade video about learning to get better at the game by actually grinding higher dungeons with lower tier gear. I do remember watching his watching his videos about certain maps using only greens. You take much longer to do them, but you're able to actually do them, but it's just going to require a whole lot of consumables and it's a lot of work, but you can theoretically do it. Do you plan to make other builds for beginners, like a beginner guides build on how to make certain armors, you know?
Uh, I do. It's just that what I like to do with my builds is custom make it for each person. If you've noticed, my channel has requested by.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice the budget builds, they have requested by. The reason why is I asked them what map do you want to run, what restrictions do you want to give me, like how many slots of relics do you have, what is your budget in shadow stones gold. The reason why I like to custom make it is because they can use it immediately, or they're in at least a point into the game or close to the point that will be their budget,
Mm-hmm.
or like they already have it in their inventory. So one of the most recent ones I think was TWG's request. It was request for all legendary maps. He gave me if you look at the forums of LR in the Discord,
Right.
there are forums there, right?
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned 24,000 shadow stones, 300,000 gold.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'll do you one better. It's 13,500. I labeled us as 15,000 because price fluctuations
Mm-hmm.
in the market. You can run legendary maps and most mythic maps, aside from caverns, because caverns.
Yeah, it's caverns. Yeah, it's caverns. Yeah, we know.
So I was like, okay, here. So if anyone is gonna request, when I have time, I make the build for them.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing with lower tier builds below rare, it's that uh you have like all of the items there is the only items you can have. You can't really mix and match because you get the four rings, you get the sugar plum sweetie. That's it. And then there's the bubble bomb, but like that's like 1,000 shadow stones for a green item that slows and does a bit of damage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone's spending that much shadow stones unless it's for a novelty item.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
so to directly answer your question, yes, I plan to. If they request. If they don't, I maybe when I have more time. But it's not really a rush, you feel?
Yeah, but I also agree. I do think at the moment, it's hard to really like, in my opinion, it's hard to really like make a good beginner's guide when it comes to like making custom builds for like common maps, because we know there really isn't much options, but also uncommon stuff. There's a limit of how many items we can actually use. But I do think, like, I think as time progresses, we're gonna get a whole lot more customizability. That's my opinion.
Yep.
But that's gonna, take a while.
I think Doc no, it was Corey that mentioned that also. More greens and white relics, I think. Or either greens and blue relics in the future. So that might be something to look forward to, because it's just gonna be more fun, more different craziness along the way. Because you can't really discount any well, aside from some like Mender's Mix, because that thing is like 30 seconds for 250 health, 200 energy.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of commission for 30 seconds. That's
Yeah.
half a minute added to your time. It's 2 uses, by the way, so it's an entire minute.
Yikes.
You're wasting an extra minute in the dungeon for something that's more expensive than a dried blushberries.
Yeah, basically. It wouldn't make any sense to have something like that in your build in that sense,
Yeah, but like if you have to consider that some items are also extremely powerful, like the dried blushberries,
Yes.
I still use that for trance maps, and that's a rare. So you can never really discount any relics in Lost Relics. I mean, look at the howls. People were like, "Oh, it's such a item, right?"
Oh yeah,
And
the
then
Deathly Howls. Yeah.
and I was like, "Look at its price now. It's like basically double, close to maybe triple what it was before."
Yeah, I do remember seeing that before. It used to be like people disregard it as like it was a very trash relic, and then eventually, when this build came out and when the game became much more difficult, when the removal of all the health potions, it became more applicable into the game, basically.
I think another huge change to that would be you no longer instantly regenerate back to full health. The world heal system.
Mm-hmm.
So
Go ahead.
uh it's like majority of the people like want to run dungeons back to back to back to back without stopping. There are just those people that have that stamina. So why not either, make a build that maxes out your health before you leave the dungeon, or takes advantage of the world system and you know you leave with low health, you still can enter with low health and do a ton of damage.
Yeah, man. You just gotta knock them out in 2 seconds, man. But believe me, I wish I could build my own glass cannon build, but it's just like the gold is just so high for me now. It's like, all right, I'm gonna maybe wait to get a nice deal on the masks later. Not now, but later.
Actually don't need the masks.
What What do you mean?
You can replace the howls
Mm-hmm.
with uh sleepy hollows. But like if you really want to budget it, Badge of Blight, that's like 90 shadow stones right now.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Badge of Blight. I know this is off topic, but we'll go back to the questions after this. But I've heard so much. What's so good about Badge of Blight again? Just remind me.
So you basically drop a cloud of decay.
Uh-huh.
So think of it like a fart cloud.
Yeah.
Everything that crosses that cloud is like, oh no, I'm rotting.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're slowed. So you can kite a bunch of mobs, decay them, then they're slowed. And then they take the damage from the decay, you walk up to them, you smack them, you can kite them a lot better, a lot faster. It's just not used because it has speed charges. And you'll need a lot more than that for most maps. Creepy
Mm.
Hollows, though, is think of it like that, but they need to trigger the mine. It's like a mine. Only problem is its trigger range is so small. Like that small pumpkin, it's like incubator's egg. It's
Mm-hmm.
so they need to step on that. Someone needs to step on that for it to trigger.
Yeah, I see. So they need to step on that. So oh, I see. Badge of Blight creates a cloud automatically. You can guide them in there, whereas the STB Hollows is like a trap. They have to walk over for it to activate.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of uses for that one was how many? 5 or 3 for Sleepy
Uh,
Hollow?
10.
10.
Yeah, 10.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense why that was. I think it's a legendary, right?
Yeah, and it's also good for killing vamp bats, ghosts, all the small stuff.
Wow.
Because it does 200 damage per tick. If they're a fast mob, they get about 400 damage shoved into them, which will kill most small mobs.
Oh, yeah. What tips would you give to new players? Like currently, right now,
Oh,
if they were to enter the game right now, what would you say for a tip for new players?
that would be farming gold. Because there's the coal map, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, why not just farm extra gold? Because a lot of the relics that you can buy with gold are extremely powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Frosty Delight, for example.
Yes, really good.
That one is just out like out of the ballpark. Should not even really be a rare relic, but like yeah, farm gold and uh you it don't rush into the later dungeons. Take your time to learn the game
Yes.
because there is no point in rushing a dungeon like the later dungeons because like the mobs there are just a lot harder. Learn how to kite, learn how to progress slowly. It's not a race because it's a game that sure levels don't really matter aside from the energy, but it's more on experience and skill. Ultimately, if you have enough experience, you can beat any map as long as you have the skills to do it. No matter how crappy your items are. I mean, people got to do a no heals run of Mount. It was Ivana and non Fiat. It was
Yes.
like that's not just relics. That's skill.
Yes, exactly. You can. I remember I used to also do Mount Kep with just Tharbar's axe. Yeah, Tharbar's might. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even have the World Slayer at the time, and I remember I saw Hurdy's build, and I said, "Wow, that I want to rock that outfit. I want to rock that setup where you want to have Tharbar's might with Banner Brutality, because when you had that build, when it used to do 30% damage, you can do so much with what was it, 30 plus 5 and then plus another 10% with
Mm-hmm.
Guardian's might. It's our Guardian's armor. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I was able to do Mount Okep pretty comfortably until the
Mm-hmm.
nerf.
I think you could two shot an Ogum with that. Like with a proper setup, you can two shot an Ogum without howls, without, you know, just flat out smack him twice with a right click and he's dead.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. Two shot an Ogum pretty easily and one shot creepers instantly. What is your favorite map and why?
I personally I don't really know. Because I just go where I feel like going. It's usually the bounties. So there are definitely maps I do hate.
Oh yeah, like, we could talk about that. Which maps do you hate then?
The cavern types.
mm.
My god, the amount of fire. It was like I don't need my ass to be burning every 2 minutes. It was like, come on, man. Uh, but also really, really dark maps. If I were to say though, personal favorite would either be Necropolis
Yes.
or uh Archire. Necropolis is a bit too dark though, but Archire is because of all the small mobs. You know how like the two mass combo?
Yeah.
So you can just watch them burn. You can literally just walk up to them, go like, hey, I'm here, walk out, and then they're just burning. It's like you dose them with gasoline. It was like, hey, have fun with this. It's just a nice feeling. I don't know. I might just be a psychopath, but like it really feels nice. Actually, Zenny is a very nice map because it keeps me on my toes. It reminds me that you can die anytime because you need constant reminder in this game. Like personally for me, Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Give me a sec.
Hmm.
Personally, for me, if you get too lax, that's when you die. Because one of the maps in the old updates, I was way too lax. Because I was like, okay, easy map. I think it was Vicium Vaults. I know it's one of the hardest maps,
Yes.
but I was too lax. I was too greedy. I didn't want to use my consumables, and I just popped with the fire. Because the consumables I was using was fish when it was heal over time
Hmm.
instead of instant.
Hmm.
So the fire tick went first before the heal. So I just poof. So I use Zenny and Mount as a reminder that you can die anytime. It's good to remind yourself that you should never relax in a dungeon.
That's very wise words. Very wise words from Hellbringer. What is your favorite relic and why? If you have a favorite, because I know it's very hard to pick one.
No, I do actually have one.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Well, depends. Is this relic a relic that I currently have, or it can also be a relic that I don't? Or do you want me to answer both?
Both. So
Okay.
first, go ahead. Go ahead.
The relic that I have that is my personal favorite
Mm-hmm.
would be the Mask of Hugo.
Mm.
Uh reason why is because it allows me to pull off the craziest and still get away with it. It allows me to get away with so much stuff. And it's just so powerful. Because, I mean, if it wasn't that powerful, Cliff wouldn't have nerfed it in the first place, right?
Exactly. Obviously not. It's really broken.
Uh,
It's really busted.
before the nerf, the range was so far. I could left click an Ogum to death. That's how comfortable I was in kiting that guy. I could
Wow.
left click him to death. Heck, I could have even went in there with a rusty sword and left clicked everything if I wanted to. That's just how strong that mask is. And you
Wow.
saw my semi-pacifist run, right?
Yeah, I did see that one. Yes.
That one was possible because of that mask. It's because of the slow. The slow really helps you learn the attack patterns. Like it just it's just a matter of after you get rid of the slow, you know how they attack, you know how because like everything's slowed down, right? It's like learning a dance.
Hmm.
You learn it step by step. You don't go instantly, oh, I'm gonna go full speed, right? You learn it slowly, build your tempo, and then that way with decay, it's same thing with decay. You learn the tempo of the mobs. You learn the oh, so this is the attack pattern. This is how they move. This is how they attack.
Hmm.
What is my window of attack? It's just if you translate it without decay. Oh, okay, that doesn't work. I'll adjust it slightly until it works. So it gives you a sense, a gauge of how much you need before you can, you know, perfect a mob without getting hit.
What is the relic that you would like to have?
Uh, the relic that I would like to have, it's a bit like out of nowhere because normally people would answer harvester, pumpkin. For me, it would be the frostbite dawn.
The Frostbite Dawn.
It's an AoE freeze.
Oh, the mythical. Yeah, now I know which one you're talking
Mhm.
about. Yeah. That one's I that one I've seen. It's really good actually.
The reason why that's my favorite relic outside of what I own,
Hmm.
and poor college student, I can't actually buy it, and no one's really selling it. Is because that's what drawed me into the game. One of the very first clips was I saw someone use a frostbite dawn. I was like, "That's cool. I want one, and I want to get one." I went into the game. Oh my god, they're out. Never mind. Okay, I'll just play the game. Hopefully, I can buy it in the future.
Yeah, man. Yo, listen. I think that's what got me into you buying the Bane of Immortals. Actually, I saw Gorgondine actually rock it in one of his videos, and I said, "Oh, this I have to have this. This is so broken." I tested it out. It's great on, I would say, melee type of monsters. It's terrible fighting Wrathmancers or ranged enemies. It's just like, stop running from me. They just keep running. It's like, oh man.
Oh, right. That's another good thing about the masks.
What?
Is you just roll into a Wraith Man so he gets slowed and you can just smack him. Because he's too slow to get away. Like, if you're neck and neck, like side by side, you can left click him with house activated and a legendary two-handed. It will just delete him. He won't be able to escape.
That's great, man. That's great to hear that's a good way to counter that specific enemy. I see. So the Frostbite Dawn. That's very interesting. Very interesting.
But here's a downside though of the Frostbite Dawn. Every frozen enemy. This is what I heard from Necro, since I think he had the Santa Slay and he tried it.
Okay.
Every frozen enemy gets half of the damage you do. So if you normally do 1,600, they only take 800. But they get hit back. So
Yeah, yeah, it has
ups and downs, right?
yeah, it has a trade-off. So it's a trade-off of like, okay, you can instantly freeze them, but you won't be able to do as much damage as before. So that only works on enemies. I don't think that works on bosses, right?
That I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
Normally they have resistance.
Mm-hmm.
The resistance reduces the, from what I've noticed, the resistance reduces, for example, decay from 5 seconds to about 2 to 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it might work, just that one, it might have a lower chance to proc, and two, he breaks out a lot faster.
That could be a thing. I think that's gonna need to be a feature for a Dreamscape where you can test every single relic in the game. I think that would be an amazing feature, and I think that would be worth also adding to the membership for it. You know,
It would make membership tokens like really worth it. Being able to test relics that you've never had before.
what is the hardest gathering skill to level up and why for you?
Well, definitely not mining.
No.
You got like 24 nodes in like cavern type dungeons. So I would say either woodcutting or scavenging.
Why?
Reason why
Hmm?
is because you look at the maps, you go like, okay, first level, like uh I think grotto,
Mm-hmm.
mining, fishing, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ash woods, level 3 skeletors. Who in the right mind placed level 3 skeletors there? Was like, come on. Okay, in higher tier dungeons is fine. You smack them once, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
But in lower tier dungeons, they have no business being there. It was like, why are you making woodcutting and scavenging so hard to get? Right? Because imagine you're a new player.
Mm-hmm.
You walk into the game, you go to the grotto. Okay, I'm bored with this map. Let's go with the other two skills that I haven't leveled. Go like, what the hell are these? Why are there level 3 marshmallows? Why are there level 3 runes? Level 3 grumblers?
Mm-hmm.
Level 3 skeletors? Was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is not right. This shouldn't be a dungeon for new players.
It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. They have no business being there.
There is an interesting combo with Dynamite.
Really.
Devil's Delight.
Remind me, Devil's Delight again? Sorry.
For 10 seconds, you're unkillable. One time use, it's once per run,
Mm-hmm.
but you're unkillable for 10 seconds. Your health will never drop below 0.
Oh, yeah. It's an epic, I think, right?
No, it's a rare
It's a rare?
Halloween event.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that. No, I did not get that at all then. That's crazy. For 10 seconds,
And
you're unkillable.
here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
The Dynamite's timer is 10 seconds. You drop it on your feet, that's already 1 second. You pop a Devil's Delight, as long as there's no archers in range or any ranged units,
Mm-hmm.
or like poison or fire, when that bomb goes off, heck, you can even activate Devil's Delight 5 seconds into the Dynamite's counter, because you can see the counter.
Mm-hmm.
So you have another 5 seconds to heal up.
Wow. So you're guaranteed.
After it
Mhm.
pops, you take full damage, you kill everything around you, and you just heal up.
That's crazy. So you get to instantly, not instantly, but you can kill a lot of enemies and heal, and you'll be safe in the end. That's crazy. What is your most prized relic currently?
Most prized relic. Well, in terms of value, like
Value, yes.
Ring of Spiritic Fusion, I think it's
Mm.
valued at around 13,000 shadow stones.
Hmm. I guess we could also talk about the next feature, I guess, which is like magic to go with that. Like, that's the thing that I know some people are selling Spiritic Fusion, and I'm like, magic hasn't come out yet. You don't know how busted that thing's going to be when magic comes out. So I guess this will be an extra question. What do you think of
Here's
magic whenever it decides to
here's
come
the
out?
thing.
Mhm.
Here's the thing with that ring.
Yeah.
People interpret it wrong. When you read it, you deal more damage to melee, range, magic. Doesn't necessarily mean you deal more damage with melee, ranged, and magic.
Oh, okay. No, 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 no. You're right. You're right. Because I think that's what I think I am misinterpreting that. No, you're absolutely right. You just do 7% more damage to basically creatures that have melee, range, or magic, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't actually. It's not like a damage modifier specifically with magic, right?
Yeah, but I mean, regardless, right? It's still a 7% gain because all mobs are categorized as melee, ranged, and magic. So there's no escape unless Cliff just goes like, "Oh, I'm making a new category, dragon."
Oh my god, yeah, or like wild beast or beast warrior or something random. We're just like, what, really, why?
It
Oh
will always
man.
be a flat 7%, no matter what weapon you're using. So I think it would still affect the magic because it's interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
It's perceived value.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like Elixir, when you read it, what would you interpret the skill of Elixir to be?
um I'm not sure. What do you mean elixir? Which one are you talking about?
Elixir, it's a legendary class weapon, relic that it says converts 75% of damage taken to health.
Yes, I okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yes, it's like this. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, it's a legendary. Okay, so you take. I never actually never used it. So 75% damage, you turn that to health.
Yeah, so you're assuming, right,
Uh huh.
that you don't take the damage, you just take the healing.
Right.
That was my initial assumption.
Right.
But no, it's basically a 75% damage reduction. So you still take 25% damage. Because how it works is you take 100% damage,
Uh huh.
but 75% of that becomes healing. So in turn, it's just a 75% damage reduction.
Okay. I didn't know
And
that.
then why it's so high in value is because people perceived it as the first one we mentioned. They perceived it as an instant heal.
Oh. Then I found out it's not. It's not exactly what it
Yeah,
says. How has Lost Relic changed your life, Hellbringer?
it actually has changed my life a lot.
Really?
Reason being is because I entered the game thinking, oh, it's just gonna be another play to earn, something to put my time into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Earn some money. Why not? But the more I played, the more you understand that it's not a game to earn money. It's a game to have fun. I stayed for the community because a lot of people are so great in the community. You, Spiz, Betty, Jay, uh, Bromigo, uh, Ganyu,
Mm-hmm.
those, right? So it was like, okay, really great community, helps with socializing and stuff. Cause I'm very introverted, so my social skills were never very good.
Mm-hmm.
So this was good practice. That's one, and two. I really started my YouTube, my Twitch, everything due to Lost Relics. Reason being is I came into the game with false information because the game keeps updating, right? So not really false information, more of like outdated information. So I was
Mm.
like, I need to correct this wrong
Mm.
because I don't want people to feel like the game is a scam because the game is great.
Yes.
But if you come in with 3 months old information, you go, I was lied to. I remember
Yeah.
playing this game, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, a lot of people are dying. A lot of people have this misconception of what the game is. So why not create? And that I make everything into a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when you create videos, you have a script, you have video editing, you have basically how you speak. If you notice my very first videos, it was so awkward. The way I talked, the way I presented myself. But in the later videos, you go like, it's more enthusiastic. Hey, below the bottom tier here again, right? Like the first time I was doing that, I was like, oh my god, that's so cringe.
Yeah.
So it's helping with a lot of different skills, editing, basically things I can use in life. It also helps with my dyslexia. It helps with the control because you can't script write without proper grammar, proper use of words. So it's like worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, I gained something out of it. And best case scenario, if it does work out, that's great. I have something else to do. Because right, I mentioned at the very start of the interview was like, well, the more I studied the business, the more I felt like it wasn't for me. So I was like, why not try my hand in content creation? It seems like a very fun topic to go with. Very fun, well, job in the sense. So it was like, okay, let's go with this. I now have a path in life because you know how like a lot of people are lost after they graduate. I
Yeah.
don't know what to do. I don't know any like where to go basically. So this gave me a sense of direction. Just because I started it, I was like, I was very reluctant. I've been contemplating for years now whether I should start a YouTube channel or not. I figured small communities, community is great also, very supportive. But like small community, I can make as many as I basically can when I start because when you're already big, for example, let's say 1,000 people watch you, there are so many criticisms. It turns you off from the thing. Slowly building your community, slowly adjusting and making those mistakes right, I think is what LR taught me. Because it's like you enter the dungeon, you make small adjustments every time you go there. You make videos for the game. You make adjustments on, oh, I didn't edit this right. It didn't feel like it was good enough. It didn't feel like this was right. Also, Spiz taught me a bunch of different stuff that I never would have learned by myself unless I did it for a really long time. So LR really, really changed my life and my perspective on what I should do in the future.
What are some suggestions would you tell the developers to improve Lost Relics?
Mainly, I think it's the dreamscape because the dreamscape is a right step into the path of LR.
Mm-hmm.
There are some arguments that, oh, you shouldn't be able to test relics because people buy it out of curiosity, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes people want to buy. Uh, but for me, as someone that makes guides, I would want to be able to swap armor, swap weapons on the map itself. Because if you notice, right, when you did your videos, you need to exit out first, go back into Dreamscape, and then the thing sometimes half of the time doesn't even work. Like it just crashes.
Yeah.
Uh, but I want to be able to showcase how to kite a specific mob, how much damage they do per each armor level, how much damage you do per each weapon class,
Mm-hmm.
and each weapon like rank. For example,
Mm-hmm.
common two-handed, common uncommon two-handed, rare two-handed, etc., etc., etc. And then how much it takes to kill something. For example, you need force right clicks to kill an Ogum with a legendary weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Things like those. I would want it to improve further, like the Dreamscape, to be able to swap on the fly, so that I don't, because imagine how many armor sets are there, right? There's like about roughly 10,
Yeah.
10 or less.
Hmm.
That's already swapping 10 times. That's just including the armor sets. How many weapon classes are there and how many rarities are there? And then you have to do that. It's basically multiplicative at that point on
Yeah.
how many times you have to actually exit out Mists of Deception.
What do you guys think of Miss of Deception, Renek? What do you?
Actually,
Mhm.
answer Gorgondine's question. Yes, we can have more questions. uh, but going back to the next,
Mhm.
Mist of Deception, I think is really powerful in the sense that one, they're not fighting you, so it's free hits in, and two, they're fighting each other, so that's extra free hits in.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Miss of Deception is really good. I've seen it being used, I think, also by Gorgondine, or if not Gorgondine, by another player, and it's also a great way to distract the enemies without you getting bombarded with everything. So I think that's a great. I think it's a good relic. It's a good relic. Let's see. Argantus says, "How would you see the next update when it comes to balancing the sixth relic? What do you think Cliff will change for difficulty?"
A lot of people are saying health, but I don't think that's the right way to go. Because my reason being is it's not because of a bias towards the house. It's mainly because of when a mob gets too spongy. I feel like how they're gonna balance it though would be adding different types of mobs. Like either that or more status effects. Because if you notice what they can deal to you, shock, fire, poison.
Mm-hmm.
What if they can decay you? Well, that's technically the shock, right?
Yeah.
What if they can freeze you? What if they can electrify you?
Or
Well, kind of
paralyze you.
like shock, but like, what if they can cancel your consumables? What if they can cancel your relics? Uh, Another would be more variety, or just add wraith mancers to every single map. that's that's already another +2 in the difficulty scale.
Shoot, we get crazier. Wrathmancer. It should be called Wrathmancer King. Where that Wrathmancer King summons more Wrathmancers, and then that Wrathmancer summons Wrath, just Wrath. So they're just
You know what's so
everywhere.
funny?
Hmm.
The Shadow used to spawn demon weirs, the demon runes,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then the demon runes spawned the runes. That was like a headache to deal with. I was like, my God, stop spawning things.
I remember that. I remember that. That was just some craziness when that happened. Oh my gosh, you're right. I remember that. Matt says, "What made you choose Lost Relic as a preferred crypto-based game?" That's a good question.
Because it was cheap. It was cheap to get into.
It definitely
Just a
is.
reminder, I'm a broke college student.
Hey.
So
Mm-hmm.
it was like a last chance for crypto games. So it was like it felt like a scam because I lost quite a bit of money in PVU. So it was like last chance, Lost Relics. Why not? If I earn, I earn. If I don't, I don't. I
Mm-hmm.
cut my losses there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cheap. It was in my budget. LR.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's the fact that it's free to play and that you're able to just grind everything out, through a lot of grinding. You can technically become a member. It just takes quite a bit of time. But I think it's not only about just being a member. I just think in general, it's the fact that I think also what you said before, it's also the community as well, why we're so happy to play this game more versus other crypto games. That's just, again, my opinion, more or less. But yeah, very good. Let's see. Mike says, what would be the 5 tips you would give a new player now Hellbringer to progress?
um, First one is gold. Gold is the most important factor. Get your 2 rings first, or get your 4 rings, depending on what you want to do. Uh, so I suggest going to tip one, mine out the coal, while it's still expensive. Get your 2 rings, the weak rings, then move on to your grotto. The grotto, mine, you'll get coal there eventually, right? Because it's a resource also that you can get from the nodes. Level that up from until level 10 at least.
Mm-hmm.
Then those 2 skills, when you hit level 10, you move on to the next phase. You buy a ton of bombs. Then you go into Ashwoods. This wasn't gonna burn a lot of your money, but level that up to 10, both skills also. And then after you level those skills up to 10, move to the green dungeons. And then from there, hope to get a drop and then go with Criminal's Katana and Longbow. Well, Longbow not so much needed anymore, but work your way through there and then go for relics, the rare ones, get your 2 other rings, the feeble rings. Then if you're feeling lucky, go for the sugar plum sweetie or save your money for blues and get a frosty.
Also, definitely check out the Spizz's giveaways. That's also another way to get loot as well.
Yeah, that's the biggest tip anyone can give. Go to their giveaways because it's just free stuff. I mean, it's just extra boost straight out. You win something, assuming it's one of the 4 horsemen. No, the 4 horsemen of blue relics.
It really is. No, really. Dried blushberries, walnuts, the honeycomb, and the adamant cookies, I think, if I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Those 4, you need those 4. And most blue maps, you need those 4 relics to get through any of those maps. And I think from there, you just have to just grind after that to hope that you get other stuff afterwards, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about balancing one-handed melees and short bows?
Oh yeah, those 2 definitely needed buff because my God, I really really tried to improve the one-handed, the Cavalier Crusader. I tried it with relics that might work with it. I went with the 2 masks, the Harnide, hit harder, like hit faster, get everyone poisoned, get everyone decayed, everything. You kite better. My times dropped from basically it increased my time to by 3 minutes, and I was running the same build with an axe of antagony. So from a 9 minute 30 second run, it became a 12 minute 30 second run. I was like, that's just how bad it is. So it really needs balancing. I feel like if one-handeds, you can dual wield it. You hit faster, you hit twice as hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the downside is you need a second copy of it. Or
Mm-hmm.
even just a second, for example, dual wielding a rusty sword and a well, no, a rusty sword is a bad example.
Yeah, it
Dual
really is, but yeah.
wielding a
Uh,
count count sword and Santa Sleigh or the one that does the chill thing, Santa Sleigh and the one last Christmas, the one-handed sword.
yeah. I forgot those 2, but I know what you're talking about.
Like if you can dual wield that, why not, right? 2 different effects. The perks of that would be, sure, the damage might not be as high to insta kill, and then you can swing it one at a time, right? So like instead of having left click, right click, you can have like one sword, like left click is swinging one specific sword, right click is swinging another specific sword, and then for a power shot, you can have like both swords being used at the same time.
How would you fix short bow?
Um, Short bows, because if we were to bring this to reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Long bows have longer range, more piercing power. They use it to pierce armor,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Short bows, on the other hand, you shoot faster, you shoot more, so you aim for weak spots. So why not have something like weakness exploit for a short bow? If you hit a specific spot of a monster, like the arm,
Mm-hmm.
they do less damage or it just falls off. For example, a skeleton, you hit it in the joints and then it falls off. Or like you get lucky, you shoot it in the head, deals a bit of more extra damage. It's things like unexposed parts, or just basically increasing the damage. Because increasing the attack speed is pointless because you have arrows that just goes goodbye gold. I don't have I don't have enough arrows to actually shoot you. That's why nobody uses the peppermint pico anymore. Because not only does it cost money to actually get the relic, it costs you even more money to shoot the relic.
Where could they find you on your social medias?
YouTube is below the bottom tier. Funny thing about that, I I was supposed to like it was built simply because if anyone questions why my skills are so bad in like games, because normally I'm not skilled, like especially when it comes to like shooters. My brother
Mm.
is a lot more skilled when it comes to like shooters, roguelikes, and all that. So I went with below the bottom tier. Uh, but I guess that name doesn't really fit me when it comes to LR.
Yeah, definitely. But listen, it's great to hear from you, Hellbringer. I think this was great, and I think I'll definitely try this again in the near future with you.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely do this again in the future. So everyone, thank you so much for stopping by, and never forget to follow your arrow. Take care.